Yep. As best as I can. The first question was what was my role in the negotiation and how did that play out? I was invited into the hostage negotiation team was at the back of 72 Fifth. That's the name of the unit. I didn't invent that. There was no hostage. It was the unit. It was the unit that was actually brought in to try and negotiate them out. Okay. That's the actual name of the unit. But there was no hostages. So I was invited to their office because they were the team assigned with the attempt to negotiate peacefully the exit of the students from the building. So I spent some time with them and with one of the friends of the students inside, who was the only person that seemed to have phone contact with anyone inside. And I was asked to speak to the students at that time. I was told they only wanted to speak to me and to this friend of theirs with the negotiators there. And it was a little chaotic. There's no question about that. It was we were trying to speak to the people on the inside from that room at the same time as the police were at the front door asking them to unlock the door. So we were asking for some more time to be able to speak to the students inside. I actually never got to speak to anyone in that process. The friend of theirs did speak to one person inside to some degree, not very long. The reception was very poor and kept cutting out. We were trying to, and the negotiators, to be fair to them, were trying to also slow down the police actions. But it seemed at that point that the students on the inside, I couldn't see what was happening. I was in a room, a windowless room, had agreed to unlock the front door and then that whole process then unfolded. That's basically all I can say about that piece. Your second question, basically my understanding of it is that, and I think this is true, that once the police have been asked to intervene, then New School has no, or whoever, the complainant, has no other role in the police action. That is being repeated to me over and over again. I have no evidence to the contrary. Clearly the key question at the heart of that is whether how one should deal with an occupation of that sort. In the first place, whether the police should be called or should not be called. If they're called, they were called originally on a 911 call, and people have read, but then there has to be an agreement and a complainant for them to go into the building and to try and remove it. And then they did try, and I think they tried fairly genuinely, at least on one side. The other thing to say is it was a little bit like, unfortunately, like one of these cop shows. There were four divisions there: the riot squad, the SWAT team, the hostage negotiation team, and something else, some other team. And in the way that these things happen, they didn't always coordinate with one another. So I can say the people I was with were getting pretty frustrated with their colleagues. But at the end, that part of the proceedings seemed to go actually pretty well, despite the fact that we couldn't actually have that contact. Most of the problems are on the 14th Street side.
Tim, were you ever asked whether calling the police was a reasonable thing to do so quickly?
You mean before they were called?
Well, I assume
No.
Was it ever discussed as to whether to tell them not to come or to even to try to pull them back so that, did you, as the provost, as the senior academic officer, were you ever invited to express, and I don't know what you thought, you may not agree with me, I'm in complete agreement with everything that Andrew said, that, the overreaction was grotesque. For 19 students, it's a joke. And look at this. Look at this room, and it's and this is on an hour's notice. I think now we have, and whatever Kerrey and the administration does, the senior administration, I think they're a version of toxic assets. And I don't think it matters what they do now. I think this water is so poisoned. I'm sorry. My sense of this now, given and I don't condone breaking into buildings if that's what happened and all the rest, but it's a group of students, and as all the people in this room, the faculty members, not me, I was older, but the faculty members who lived through the 60s and the early 70s, I mean, this was child's play. And they turned it into a revolution. And you're going to work, I mean, they got, these students, this handful of students, got what they wanted. They really did.
Not yet, Kerry's still there.
No, I mean, they got the attention that they wanted. Had you allowed them to sit there, a building, as Andrew points out, that is not used, that they want to tear down, and let the students just sit there, what harm would it have done? It was a weekend. I
Well, probably, not entirely popular view, but I'm glad that I wasn't. Well, first of all, to answer your first question, I wasn't actually part of, or that decision-making process. I was.
Who made that?
Sorry? I think the general counsel outlined that. I think there was.
Roy made it.
Sorry?
Roy made the decision?
No. I wasn't blaming one.
Was it Bob Kerrey?
Sorry?
Was it Bob Kerrey?
My understanding is that he was called
Did Bob make the decision that the police should be moved in?
I think that he made the decision to have the police remove the people from the building, but from then on, he had no role to play in how the tactics they used. That's my understanding. But once you call the NYPD, you have no role in what they choose to do or not do.
I'm not sure that's true, but.
Well, I'm just.
Why is he not? So in December, it was out of
Bob
their
Kerrey, how can you not have any influence?
Can you please be quiet? This is Monday morning where we're dealing with very fresh facts, and we don't have all the facts, and we're trying to piece it all back together again. So it was just to be clear, because a number of people said it. It was the agreement of all of us that Bob would not come today to present. He has actually knows it's happening, and the president has actually condoned it and what have you. But we decided it would be a better, we just wanted to have this conversation with you. So that's. But I have been told. All I can say, I've been told repeatedly that it's the NYPD's choice. I mean, there's lots of rumors about why they reacted the way they did, how many people came.
And all these different divisions of the NYPD came of their own free will, that's what they do.
That's my understanding, to be honest. The other part that just.
We need to find out.
Yeah, well, that's we can't find it all out now, Arian. So I think that's a
my name is Kyle Reeves. I'm a student at Lang, and I have two concerns that I'll try to restructure into a question. I have not seen any public rejection of President Kerrey's racist, terrorist comments in the media by any senior member or the faculty, and I think if we're an institution of critical inquiry, as Pat and Gigi has said, and an institution that's committed to some idea of justice, these comments need to be condemned publicly by some legitimate representative of the university. But this is unacceptable. And also, I'm just interested in how the faculty, I know the faculty is not a unitary entity, but I'm interested in seeing and hearing about what the faculty is doing, how they're organizing, because I know it's really easy for these meetings to just become sort of invisible, and I'd like to know what the faculty is doing.